Good evening, listeners. This is Elara from the Nightwave English Midnight Desk. Tonight, we return to Havenport for a slow English story about rain, small kindness, and a red umbrella that passes through the city after midnight. A lost umbrella is found in a cafe. Then it moves from one person to another through wet streets, bus stops, apartment doors, and quiet corners of the city. I will speak slowly and clearly so you can relax, follow the story, and improve your English little by little. Welcome to Nightwave English. Tonight's story is called The Lost Umbrella. You do not need to understand every word tonight. Just listen. Let the story move slowly. Let the rain carry the sentences. And if one new word stays with you, that is already progress. But first, as always, let's begin with the weather in Havenport. This is the Nightwave weather report for Havenport. Tonight, rain is falling across the entire city. Not a storm, not heavy rain, just a long, steady rain that has been falling since the early evening. In Lumen District, the streets are wet and golden under the lamps. In Old Market, the shop windows are dark, but the pavement still reflects yesterday's signs and tonight's traffic lights. Near North Pier, the harbor is quiet. The boats are moving gently, and the water is dark, except where the lights touch it. The temperature is around 9 degrees Celsius. The air feels cold when you stand still, but warmer when you walk quickly with your hands in your pockets. Across Havenport, umbrellas are opening and closing. Black umbrellas, blue umbrellas, transparent umbrellas with silver edges, and one red umbrella that someone is about to leave behind. Tonight's useful expression is to pass something on. To pass something on means to give something to another person, so they can use it, keep it, or continue it. You can pass on a message, you can pass on a book, you can pass on advice, and sometimes, without planning it, you can pass on a little kindness. In tonight's story, an umbrella is passed on from one person to another. It does not belong to anyone for very long, but for a few minutes at a time, it helps someone stay dry. Keep this phrase in mind tonight, to pass something on, because not every small act of kindness needs to stay with one person. Some kindness is meant to travel. The red umbrella was first left behind at a cafe called the Blue Lantern. You may remember the Blue Lantern. It is a small, late-night cafe in Havenport, not far from the harbor, with warm lights, plants on the windowsills, and windows that are almost always touched by rain. On this particular night, the cafe was nearly empty. There were 2 students at a corner table sharing one large pot of tea. There was a man in a dark coat reading a newspaper he had already read twice. And there was a young woman named Mila, sitting near the window with a small notebook open in front of her. Mila had come to the cafe after work. She worked in a small bakery in Old Market, and her hands still smelled faintly of flour and sugar. She had planned to stay for only 10 minutes, a cup of coffee, a few quiet moments, then home. But the rain had become steady, and the cafe felt warm, so she stayed longer. She wrote 2 sentences in her notebook, then crossed them out, then wrote one more. Mila was trying to write a message in English. Not a long message, just a simple one. She wanted to thank a customer who came to the bakery every Friday and always spoke to her in patient, gentle English. The words were not difficult, but sometimes simple words feel difficult when you care about them. Thank you for being kind. That was the sentence she wanted. Not perfect, not impressive, just true. At 12:18, the cafe owner began turning off a few lights. Mila closed her notebook, paid for her coffee, and stood up quickly. She was thinking about the sentence. Thank you for being kind. She was thinking about the rain. She was thinking about getting home before her shoes became completely wet. And because she was thinking about too many things at once, she forgot the red umbrella beside her chair. To leave something behind means to forget something in a place. A phone, a scarf, a notebook, an umbrella. Mila left the red umbrella behind at the Blue Lantern. She did not notice until she was already 3 streets away. By then, the rain had soaked her hair and she was too tired to go back. So she pulled her jacket closer and walked quickly toward home. The red umbrella stayed near the chair. Closed. Quiet. Waiting. 10 minutes later, a delivery rider came into the cafe. His name was Thomas. He was wet from his helmet to his shoes. He had one last delivery before the end of his shift. A shift is a period of time when someone works. A morning shift, an evening shift, a night shift. Thomas had been working the night shift, riding through Havenport while most people were already at home. The cafe owner gave him a paper cup of hot tea. Not because he ordered it, because he looked like someone who needed it. Thomas stood near the counter and warmed his hands around the cup. He noticed the red umbrella beside the chair. The cafe owner noticed him looking. She explained that someone had forgotten it. Thomas did not take it immediately. He hesitated. To hesitate means to pause because you are not sure what to do. He did not want to steal anyone's umbrella. But outside, the rain was falling harder, and he still had to cross half the city. The cafe owner told him he could borrow it. If the owner came back, she would explain. If not, he could return it tomorrow. Thomas nodded. He took the umbrella, opened it outside the cafe, and stepped back into the rain. The red color looked bright under the streetlights. Very bright. Almost like a small lantern moving through the night. Thomas rode slowly through Lumen District with the umbrella tied carefully to the side of his delivery bag. It was not easy to ride with an umbrella. Not safe either, so he did not hold it while moving. But when he stopped at red lights, he used it. When he waited outside apartment doors, he used it. When he checked an address under a broken street lamp, he used it. For a few minutes at a time, the umbrella kept him dry. To keep dry means to avoid getting wet. A raincoat keeps you dry. A roof keeps you dry. An umbrella keeps you dry, at least a little. Thomas's final delivery was to a building near Willow Street. The building had no elevator. The entrance light did not work. And the numbers on the doors were difficult to read. By the time he found the right apartment, the food in his bag was still warm, but his shoulders were tired. A woman opened the door, holding a sleeping child in one arm. She looked exhausted. Tomas gave her the bag quietly. She thanked him in a whisper. Then she looked past him at the rain outside the window of the stairwell. She said she had to go back downstairs soon to pick up medicine from the pharmacy. She had no umbrella. Thomas looked at the red umbrella in his hand. He had planned to return it to the cafe the next day, but the woman needed it now, so he passed it on. He explained that it was not really his, only borrowed, only passing through. But she could use it tonight. The woman looked surprised, then grateful. She took the umbrella carefully as if it were something more important than it looked. Thomas left the building without it. The rain touched his jacket again, but he did not mind as much as before. Sometimes giving something away makes the night feel warmer, even if the air is still cold. If this quiet broadcast is helping you practice your English tonight, you can like the video, leave a comment, or subscribe to Nightwave English. Every small sign tells the station that someone is listening out there in the rain, and there will be more slow stories from Havenport waiting for you after midnight. The woman with the child was named Anna. She waited until her daughter was asleep. Then she put on her coat, took the red umbrella, and went downstairs. The pharmacy was only 2 blocks away, but in the rain, 2 blocks can feel longer. The city was quiet at that hour. The buses were rare. Most shops were closed. The pharmacy had a green light above the door, bright and lonely in the wet street. Anna bought the medicine, thanked the pharmacist, and stepped outside again. Near the entrance, an older man was standing under the small roof, looking at the rain. He had a paper bag in one hand and no umbrella. He looked at the sky the way people look when they are trying to decide if they can run through the rain without becoming completely soaked. Soaked means very wet, not just a little wet, very wet. Anna knew that look. She had worn it often. She asked where he was going. He pointed toward the bus stop at the end of the street. It was not far, but the rain was steady. Anna looked at the umbrella, then at the man, then at the medicine in her pocket. She had only 1 block left before home. He had to wait outside for a bus. So she passed the umbrella on. The man tried to refuse. People often try to refuse kindness at first. Maybe because they do not want to cause trouble. Maybe because they are not used to receiving help. But Anna smiled and told him it had already been passed to her. It seemed right to keep it moving. The old man accepted the umbrella. He held it above his head and walked slowly toward the bus stop. Anna pulled up the hood of her coat and hurried home through the rain. She was wet when she arrived, but her daughter was sleeping. The medicine was dry, and somehow the small apartment felt peaceful. The old man's name was Henri. He reached the bus stop and sat down under the glass shelter. The red umbrella rested beside him. The shelter was not very good. Rain came in from the side whenever the wind moved, but the umbrella helped. Henri placed it carefully between himself and the rain. He was not in a hurry. At his age, very few things were worth hurrying for. His bus would come in 17 minutes. Then 22 minutes. Then the sign changed again and said delayed. Delayed means late. A delayed bus arrives later than expected. A delayed train arrives later than expected. Sometimes, even a conversation can feel delayed. Something you should have said years ago finally arrives late. Henry watched the empty road. Cars passed from time to time. Their tires made a soft sound on the wet street. Across the road, there was a bakery with dark windows. Above it, one apartment window was lit. He could see a small plant on the balcony, a warm lamp, a curtain moving slightly. Havenport was full of windows like that. Small, private lights. Lives you could see only for a moment. Then a young man ran toward the bus stop with a backpack over his head. He arrived breathless, laughing quietly at himself. He was soaked. His name was Leo. He was a student, and he had missed the earlier bus because he stayed too late at the library. Henri moved the red umbrella so it covered part of the bench between them. Leo thanked him. For a while, they sat without speaking. The rain made conversation unnecessary. But after a few minutes, Henri asked what Leo was studying. Leo explained that he was studying English, not because he had to, because he wanted to travel one day and speak without fear. Henri listened. Then he said that speaking without fear was a beautiful idea, but maybe too large for one night. Maybe the first step was simply speaking with fear and doing it anyway. Leo smiled at that. Speaking with fear and doing it anyway. That sentence stayed with him. The bus finally came. Henri stood slowly. Leo helped him fold the umbrella. At the bus door, Henri looked at the red umbrella, then at Leo's soaked backpack. He did not need the umbrella for long. His stop was only 2 stops away. Leo had a much longer walk after the bus, so Henri passed it on. He handed the umbrella to Leo and told him to keep dry. Leo tried to refuse. Of course he did, but Henri only smiled. He explained that the umbrella had already been traveling tonight. It would be rude to stop it now. Leo carried the red umbrella onto the bus. It was almost empty. 3 passengers, a driver with tired eyes, rain sliding down the windows, the city passing in dark blue and orange reflections. Leo sat near the back and placed the umbrella across his knees. He looked at it more carefully now. It was not new. The handle had small scratches. One metal rib was slightly bent. There was a tiny white mark near the edge. Nothing special, just an umbrella, but it had already moved through several lives in one night, from a cafe, to a delivery rider, to a mother, to an old man, to him. Leo thought about the phrase Henri had said, speaking with fear and doing it anyway. He opened his phone and wrote it down, not as a lesson, as a reminder. Then he opened his English notes. He wrote another sentence. Small kindness travels farther than we think. He liked that sentence. It felt true. It felt like the umbrella. When the bus reached his stop, Leo stepped down into the rain. He opened the umbrella. The red fabric spread above him like a small roof. His apartment was 6 minutes away. He could have gone straight home. But near the bus stop, he saw someone standing under the awning of a closed flower shop, a woman with a guitar case. She was looking at the rain, then at the street, then at her shoes. Her coat was too thin, her hair was wet. She looked tired in the way performers look tired after smiling all evening. Leo asked if she needed to get somewhere. She said the tram station was a few streets away. She had a late performance at a hotel bar and had stayed too long packing her guitar. Leo looked at the red umbrella. He looked at his apartment building, not far away. Then he looked at the woman again. He understood the rule now. You use the umbrella while you need it, then you pass it on. So he gave it to her. The woman laughed softly, surprised by the strange kindness of the city. Leo told her that it was not really his. It had simply reached him for a few minutes. Now it had reached her. She accepted it. Under the red umbrella, she walked toward the tram station with her guitar case held close. Leo walked home in the rain. He became wet again before he reached his door. But he was smiling. Not because the rain was pleasant. It was not. But because he had become part of the umbrella's story, and somehow that felt enough. The woman with the guitar was named Elise. She reached the tram station just as the last tram arrived. The red umbrella closed with a soft snap. Inside the tram, the lights were pale and calm. Only a few people sat inside. A nurse, a man asleep with headphones, a teenager holding a paper bag from a late-night restaurant. Elise sat near the window with the umbrella beside her. Her guitar case leaned against her knees. The tram moved slowly through Havenport, past Old Market, past Willow Street, past the small cinema near the station, past rows of apartments with wet balconies and warm lights. The rain made every window look like a painting. Elise had played music all evening, but now she wanted silence. Not lonely silence, restful silence. Restful means something that helps you rest. A restful room, a restful night, a restful silence. She closed her eyes for 2 stops. When she opened them again, she saw a little boy sitting across from her with his father. The boy was looking at the umbrella. Not at her, not at the guitar, at the umbrella. Children notice bright things in gray places. The father was trying to keep the boy awake, but the boy's eyes were heavy. They got off at the next stop. Outside, the rain was still falling. The father had no umbrella. He lifted his jacket over the child's head, but it was too small to cover them both. Elise stood in the tram doorway for a second. Then she handed him the red umbrella. He looked confused. She simply said that someone had given it to her, and now it was his turn. His turn. That phrase means it is now your moment to do something. Your turn to speak. Your turn to try. Your turn to help. The father thanked her, and the doors closed. Elise watched through the window as he opened the umbrella above himself and his son. The red umbrella moved away down the street, a small color in a dark night. The umbrella did not return to the blue lantern that night. It did not return to Mila. Not yet. It moved through Havenport until the rain became lighter. From one person to another. From one small need to the next. No one kept it for long. No one owned the kindness inside it. They only carried it for a while, then passed it on. By morning, the red umbrella was resting beside the entrance of a small bakery in Old Market. Mila found it when she arrived for work. At first, she thought someone had returned it to her, but there was no note, no explanation, only the umbrella, leaning gently beside the door, wet at the edges, with a few new scratches on the handle. Mila picked it up slowly. She recognized it immediately, but it felt different now, not because it had changed very much, because it had clearly been somewhere. It had lived a night without her. It had crossed streets, bus stops, tram doors, apartment entrances, and quiet corners of the city. Mila would never know the whole story. She would never know about Thomas, Anna, Henry, Leo, Elise, the father, or the sleepy child. She would only know that something she had lost had found its way back. And maybe that was enough. That morning, the Friday customer came into the bakery. The one who always spoke to her in patient English. Mila remembered the sentence in her notebook. "Thank you for being kind." She had practiced it in her head many times, but when the moment came, she felt nervous again. Her hands touched the paper bag on the counter. The customer smiled and ordered the usual bread. Mila took a breath. Then she said the sentence, slowly, not perfectly, but clearly. "Thank you for being kind." The customer looked surprised, then smiled more warmly than before. He said she was very welcome, that was all. A small sentence, a small moment. But Mila felt something open inside her. Not a big door, not yet. Maybe only a window, but enough for air to come in. She looked at the red umbrella near the door. and she thought about all the things that move through a city without being seen. Rain, light, kindness, words, a sentence in English, an umbrella passed from hand to hand. Small things, but small things can travel far. And that is the end of tonight's story. The lost umbrella was not important because it was expensive. It was not important because it was special. It was important because for one rainy night, it carried kindness through Havenport. It helped people stay dry. It helped strangers notice each other. It reminded them that not everything good needs to belong to us forever. Some things are meant to be passed on. A message, a word, a little courage, a small kindness, maybe even the feeling that someone, somewhere, is listening. Before we close tonight's broadcast, let's stay for a moment in Havenport. The city is still wet. The rain is softer now. Almost finished. In Lumen District, the windows are dark, but a few lamps remain. Near the harbor, the boats move slowly against the docks. In Old Market, the bakery lights turn on before sunrise. A delivery rider rides home through empty streets. A mother places medicine on a kitchen table. An old man hangs his coat near the door. A student writes a new English sentence in his notes. A musician opens her guitar case and lets the quiet return. A child sleeps under a blanket, dry and warm. And beside a bakery door, a red umbrella waits for the next rainy night. Maybe someone will need it again. Maybe someone will pass it on again. Maybe that is how kindness survives in a city. Not as one great act, but as many small ones, moving quietly from hand to hand. If you are listening tonight, you are part of this quiet chain too. You listen, you learn, you carry a word with you. Maybe tomorrow you will use it. Maybe you will pass it on. Before we say goodnight, let's remember a few useful words and expressions from tonight. Umbrella. An umbrella protects you from rain. To leave something behind. This means to forget something in a place or to leave a trace for someone else. To pass something on. This means to give something to another person so it continues moving. To hesitate. This means to pause because you are not sure what to do. Soaked. This means very wet. Delayed. This means late. Restful. This means something that helps you rest. Your turn. This means it is now your moment to do something. And tonight's sentence to keep with you is, small kindness travels farther than we think. Not all kindness is loud. Not all kindness is planned. Sometimes it is only a red umbrella, passed from one person to another on a rainy night. This has been Nightwave English, broadcasting from the quiet coastal city of Havenport. Tonight's episode was The Lost Umbrella. Thank you for spending part of your night with us. If you enjoyed this quiet English story, you can like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Nightwave English. Your support helps this little station keep broadcasting through the rain. And if you would like to return to Havenport for another night of slow English listening, the next broadcast will be waiting for you after midnight. Until then, stay warm, stay curious, and remember, you do not need to understand everything tonight. Just keep listening. Little by little, English will become clearer. Good night, listeners. I will meet you again after midnight.